Hi guys, and welcome to Leaf's Farm. Today we bought this 96 GMT 400 with a blown motor, and we got some plans for it. So, basically the worst shape imaginable. Fenders are not good. Rockers are pretty much non-existent. And you're gonna ask yourself, Leaf, why did you buy this truck? Well, we bought it because of the transmission, and it's 4x4. Where I live, this transmission transfer case combo is worth about as much as I paid for the truck, so I figured it was worth the buy. And cab corners are not terrible, but not great. But the rocker is basically not there the whole way across, inner and outer rocker, and the engine knocks real bad. So put a battery in that. Show you what we're working with. This is first year of the Vortec, so it's a good engine, but she's been ridden hard. Of course, toss a battery in there. Don't know what that wire's for, but we don't need it. It basically won't start under its own, on its own. So the tank's got some pretty old gas in it, but if we put some fuel down the throat, should fire off for us so we can hear what it sounds like. Okay. Drink up, little birdie. Run for you guys. Got an engine light on for something. I'm not too sure why, but it's not running good. So we're gonna just plug a 454 in, and it should be good to go, right? Okay, let's get the $600 motorhome 454 unloaded out of the truck, and maybe let's unbolt this 4L80E, get it off there, and get this thing ready to convert it to carb. Goats up there outside for a change. It's a nice day, and I guess they're hungry. Plugged in this old girl all night, so should be easy to start up. So there she is in all her glory. The $600 RV 454. Pretty good shape overall. A lot of the components are going to get replaced anyway, so not too worried about any of that. Transmission came with it for the 600 bucks. Probably get around 500 bucks for that, so just makes my costs on this build go down. And we're gonna go ahead and get the tranny off and get it up in the garage as soon as possible. How are the goats doing today? Beautiful day. It's been, you know, minus 30 weather for a couple weeks straight, so they're actually outside today. Oh. They don't do much but sit in the barn and eat food in the winter. Okay, it is totally a different day now. I got sidetracked. I didn't get that engine on the stand. So we're gonna get the snow off of it and use this old girl to lift it up while I unbolt the transmission and figure out how we're gonna get it in here with all this snow. And it's like minus 30 degrees Celsius today, so not a great day for it, but we gotta get this done. Aren't working. That might be a problem. All right, well, there we go. Maybe she's low on fluid. I'm gonna have to check that. Okay, got her lifted up. Got this Y pipe removed. And the transmission cover off. Now I believe the next step is we gotta unbolt the torque converter. Because I think I got all the transmission bolts and we just got the torque converter holding the transmission on, so gotta make sure I don't drop this on my foot. And I want to sell this transmission, so that'll offset the cost a little bit. All right, let's get to it. Let's just get this filter out of the way. Oh, it's a Napa Gold, nothing but the best. I think it's already drained of oil. Another catch can. Now I can remove the torque converter bolts from here, but I should probably lower this so I don't end up with a transmission in my feet. Oh, okay, those grounding straps here had another nut underneath them, and the stud didn't come out, so I had to get both sides. It should be loose now. Yeah, there she comes. Perfect. Let's get this harness out of the way. Not going to be using any of this, so oh, there, that made a difference. Perfect, I think she's free. Come on, get out of there. There we go. Now let's get the engine stand mount on it and put it in the garage. Okay, now that we got the big block in the garage, let's start taking some accessories off. As you can see by my garage here, I'm a man of a million different hobbies, and cleaning my garage is not one of them. So I really got to work on that. It's a little bit disappointing to look at, but I've got a lot of stuff and not a lot of space. So not the worst problem to have, but we'll get started by taking this distributor off. There's still a ton of snow in here. I gotta light a fire, but that would require me cleaning a little more, and it's pretty mild today, so probably isn't the first thing I should start with taking off. There's quite a few other things in the way, but we're gonna strip off all the accessories off this. I've ordered in a compressor delete pulley because that's horsepower and this doesn't make a lot of it, so we're gonna get rid of that. I don't believe my truck even has a condenser in it. It's not an AC truck, so it's not really a big deal. Okay. Get this out of the way. And there's our distributor. Now I believe our HEI distributor has a molybdenum gear as well, but just to be safe, this is from China, this is from Chevrolet. We're gonna just swap the distributor gears so that we don't wreck our cam, because I don't feel like buying a cam for this. It's a budget build. So we'll put this to the side. Let's just make life easier and get all the big shit out of the way. Almost got this harness off. We're not saving any of this because the truck is not TBI, and we're not going to make it TBI. So if we break this already cut wiring harness, it's not a big deal. Need something bigger than that. These should suffice. No such thing as too big. No such thing as too big. The perfect model for a BBC Chevy. And take my advice, do not look up BBC Chevy battle on Google. It's not going to be about big block Chevys. Just a word of warning. Alright, I lost my cameraman for the rest of the day, but I'm just going to go and take all this TBI stuff off, whatever accessories are in my way, take off the valve covers because the paint is flaking on all of it. I'll get them repainted, and just get this thing ready to swap over my carb intake. So. There's our throttle body. Let's hold this up over here. I'm going to flip this chain down a little bit. Get some of the tension off there. Well, valve cover looks good. And that looks great. Our rockers are all where they should be. It definitely looks like a low miles engine. So, and whoever owned it was up on their oil changes. Kind of annoyed that I dropped a bit of garbage in there, but when I was taking this apart, I did notice that I don't know if you can see that, but the cam gear has the plastic teeth. I wasn't planning on changing the timing set, but change the timing gears and chain just as preventative, because I don't want to worry about that plastic cam gear losing some teeth. But so far so good. I'm going to take off the other valve cover, and I'm going to get those painted at my in-laws' house, where they've got a nice heated garage. So as you can see, we've got the peanut port heads. This is a 1994. In 96 they went to the port injection, the Vortec motors, and you know, you've got a bigger runner here. So these aren't ever going to make a whole boatload of power, but we'll see what we can do, and it's definitely a good start point for a build, especially when you pay $600 for a junkyard engine with low kilometers, and you make do with what you got. I mean, I sold the transmission that was bolted to this for $400, so I'm into this motor at this point $200, and then with all the additional items on it, it's, you know, it's going to be about $1,000 engine. So not really too bad. Definitely one of the cheaper ways you can add horsepower to your truck. A couple days have passed. I got some new parts in, and we've stripped a bit more of the accessories off the block. Actually, all the accessories are taken off the block. We've got it prepped to take the rest of the gasket material off. I'm going to use my scraping tool, and we're going to just do the long process of getting this 30-year-old gasket off here, and we've got it prepped to try to catch as much of the material as possible and not get it in the engine. Got all the parts lined up. I have this old Edelbrock 1406 650 CFM carb with the electric choke. I am going to look for a bigger carb. It's going to be a little bit small for this, but it should work for the time being. We got our clutch kit in, a new flywheel. We cleaned up the valve covers. I was going to paint them, but instead I just buffed them really quick, and you know, I think they'll look better like this rather than putting the paint on it. So I'm just using a rubber mallet and my sharpened gasket removal tool, and I'll get the bulk of the gasket off, and I'll go around with the razor blade and really clean it up. The pan with very little effort. Well, I'd say it looks pretty good. Pickup tube is clean as a whistle. That's about as good as you could ask for. Once again, it is a low miles engine, so I wasn't really worried about it, but it is good to check these things. If we were, you know, putting a cam or something in it, it's good to know the condition of the motor, what we can reasonably expect out of it. Okay, so yeah, the pan was holding this on. It is a gasket holding as well. There's our timing cover. You don't want to go through all the effort putting this in the truck and then finding out that these teeth snap off and you skip timing. Just bad news all around. So we're going to get rid of this. Crank bolt in, crank this over, and we want to, I don't know how well you can see this, line up this arrow here to this dot. You can do it one of two ways. You could make sure this is at TDC and this is at TDC, or you can have this arrow pointing down here. That's the way I like to do it. I like to have this arrow down here and this at top dead. That way you can easily see if they're in line. Okay, so I got the timing marks lined up. I got this arrow lined up with the dot here. So now I can pull the timing chain and sprockets off, and we can install our new timing chain. Okay, I went and grabbed my 3-arm puller. Gonna crank this bolt back in. These style pullers suck to get started. But once you get them on there, it doesn't go too bad. 5/8, yeah. So, oh, there we go. No problem. Just need the right tool for the job. And it's free. Nice. My puller's falling apart. So a little trick to get your crankshaft gear on is to heat it up and then put it on. It's going to work especially well in my case because it's like -4 degrees Celsius today. So this is nice and cold. We're going to heat this up to expand it, because if you look on your crank, there's just enough of an edge to say that you can feel it with your finger. There's about a 1 thou interference fit there. So we're going to grab our crank sprocket or gear, and we're going to use a torch, and we're just going to heat it up and have a piece of pipe that fits over your crankshaft ready to help guide it on. Might have to hit it a little bit. Typically, if you were to do this the right way, there is actually a tool made to do this, but if you're not doing this every day, you probably don't have that tool. It helps you remove and install it, but if you have a 3-arm puller, you can remove it just fine with that. So we're just going to warm it up enough that we can get it on there, and it's going to be hot. I've got a piece of pipe ready here, and without any tapping, it's fully seated now. Just to make sure. You don't really want to hit the end of your crank because you could cause damage. So once that cools down, I can't pull it off anymore. So that's on there. So you want to make sure you got this lined up where your dots are aligned, so if you need to do this again, your timing marks make sense. So the crank and the cam are in time currently. Technically, it doesn't matter which orientation we put this in, and it's going to be in time, but you want those marks to be lined up. So this tooth goes in between these two teeth. And I believe the torque spec for these bolts are 20 foot-pound. So socket for these, and we're going to torque these. So that's it. Got the salamander rocking. Got the wood stove full of wood. And we have all our gasket surfaces prepped as good as we're going to get them. I cleaned this right out, vacuum, blew air in it. It's starting to frost up because it's warming up in here. I got the oil pan super clean. So I took all the sludge that was out of the bottom. There wasn't too much, but if it gets sludgy from here on out, only person we can blame is the guy in the mirror. So let's start with our oil pan. And actually, sorry, we got to start with our timing cover, then our oil pan. And I didn't show it in the video earlier, but you do, or you should, put some sort of Loctite on these bolts here. I use this, the Loctite grade AA. It's like a green Loctite. It's a high strength permanent Loctite. It can be used for retaining bearings and sleeves and stuff like that, but I used to use this when I worked in the aviation industry, and I like the way it performs. So, let's get our timing cover put on. So it is a good idea to just put a bit of this Permatex and seal up these corners. I like to just get a little extra on there. Those are spots that are prone to leakage. Do the same on the front. Get a bit of your black RTV, put it in there. It's not going to hurt. Okay, we're back from dinner. I torqued down all those pan bolts, and then I torqued the timing cover bolts down. Before we get started with the intake manifold and the gaskets, we're going to put some oil in. I just got what was on sale, some Quaker State 1030. Ideally, you should put in something with a high zinc content, because this is a flat tappet cam. So back when these engines came out, the regulations on zinc content and oil was different, and when CATs came out, like catalytic converters, they started to throttle back the amount of zinc that was allowed in gasoline engine oils, but diesel oils still have a high zinc content. So something like Rotella T4 ideally is what you're going to run. You can also get zinc additives to put in with your oil, and I do believe AMSOIL makes a high zinc oil for flat tappet cams. So, you know, just put an additive in it, or I will change the oil soon enough that it's not going to really matter. So make sure everything's lubed up. It's all pretty dry because I did clean this out. So in the corners here, you want to get some RTV before you put your gaskets on, and it's not a bad idea to put a bit of RTV on the mating surface just so that you can get your gasket to stick in time to place your intake manifold on. I put way too much, but we're just gonna send it. So a lot of these intake manifold bolts, they go into your water jacket. So you're going to need to use some sort of thread sealant. Permatex makes one. You could probably get away with using pipe dope, but I'm just going to use a drop of this Permatex sealant. Looks like it needs to get mixed up a little bit. Going to use a bit of this on the ends of the threads, that way we don't have any water leaks. Okay, I got the valve covers on, got the carburetor on, everything's torqued down. I just put the harmonic balancer on, torqued this bolt to 85 foot-pounds with red thread locker. Now I'm going to rotate the engine and get the #1 cylinder to TDC, and we will put in the distributor and point the distributor at the #1 cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick my finger, my longest finger, in the #1 cylinder. I got all the plugs out, and we're going to rotate the engine until we feel the compression stroke. I'll feel air being pushed out of the cylinder essentially. And once you do a full rotation, or a full 2 rotations I should say, you'll know the difference between an intake stroke and the exhaust stroke, because you will feel, oh, so now I believe I'm on confirm? So yeah, now I'm on the compression stroke. And so I'm just going to line up the timing mark to 0. And we're going to pop in the distributor and point the rotor at the number 1 cylinder. I think what I'll do is I'll just give this a little dip in some engine oil since it's literally brand new. Okay, and we're getting oil everywhere. So now we're going to get this in and we're going to rotate it. Make sure we're in the shot here. So we're going to put the distributor in and rotate that rotor until it's fully seated and pointing at the number 1 cylinder. So okay, so we got the new set of EC Delco plugs all installed and our new plug wires came in. So let's get the wires on. We're gonna hoist it back up and then we will put the flywheel. We're going to hoist it back up, put the flywheel on, and see if we can run it with my super sketchy setup. Hook a battery up to it and see if she fires off. We'll run it for a bit without the accessories on, make sure everything's good to go, and then let's get it in the truck. Let's get this guy lined up with the dowel. Okay. Gonna put some red thread locker on all these flywheel bolts. I believe, I'm going to have to look it up to confirm, but I believe the torque spec is 60 foot-pounds for each one of these. Okay, looks like they are 5/8 12 point. So, got the right socket. Let's set this to 60 foot-pounds if I recall. Am I doing this right? 60, yep. Okay. Hopefully the engine doesn't rotate. Let's get this snugged all the way down there. Hold this with something. Nope, I got it. Okay. Pretty suboptimal setup here. Perfect. Okay, so it kind of goes without saying this is a horrible way to do this, but we've got this red wire hooked up to the battery side of our HEI distributor. That's going to go to our positive terminal on our battery, which we will just conveniently attach with a set of vice grips. We'll use a bit of premixed fuel. Put that down the schnoz. That's a lot. nervous as I should be. Okay. Okay, so I decided to make like basically the sketchiest stand possible, but I figure it's a little bit better than hanging it from the ceiling. And me and my brother are gonna get it running like this. I just want to make sure that it'll fire off. Timing is somewhat close, and then we can go ahead and put it in the truck. So, alrighty, so as you can maybe tell by the smoke, we've been messing around with it, trying to get it to fire off for the first time. I believe we've got the timing set up right. Put the gas off to the side. The carb, we had a temporary fuel system set up, but the carb floats are sticking and it's just dumping fuel straight in, so we're just going to give it a little guzzle here. That's good enough. And let's see if we can get it to go. I think that's a success. Alright guys, I guess that concludes the first video on our GMT 400 Junkyard 454 build. In the next video we will pull out that old 350 Vortec and we're gonna put the 454 in, get the truck moving again, and then we'll tear down that 350 and see what's wrong with it, see if we've got, you know, bad mains or what's going on. It's ticking awfully bad. Did it skip timing? I really don't know. I bought it from a guy like 3 hours away, so yeah, I'm excited. If you guys liked the video, drop a comment. If you didn't like the video, drop a comment. Like the video, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do, but I appreciate all your guys' views. Have a good day.